In a previous video, which I've linked here and below, I showed you how to download and install eveng. I showed you how to get a basic topology working in eveng. Now that's fine, but for most of us, we want to add more complex nodes than just a VPCS. By default, I can add a VPCS device to eveng, but what happens if I want to add another type of device, such as a Cisco router? So as an example, Cisco IOS, which gives me a router image that I can run in eveng. Now in this video, I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to show you how to download Cisco IOS images from cisco.com and show you how to get a Cisco topology working within eveng. Now there's quite a few steps here. There's quite a few things that you need to do, but if you follow along, you'll be able to get a Cisco topology working in eveng. Now, before we get started, please would you subscribe to my YouTube channel? Please would you like this video if you find it useful? And please click on the bell to get notifications when I upload a new video. Okay, so let's get started. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is go to virl.cisco.com so that I can download images to use in eveng. Now you can find Cisco VIRL images on the internet. I'm not a lawyer, but all I can say is it's probably not such a good idea to use those. In my example, I'm going to get images from Cisco's website because I already have an account. I'm going to enter my email address, click Next, specify my password, and click Sign In. I'm going to go to My Account, and I'm going to click Download VIRL. Now to download images, click on All Releases, click One, scroll down to IOSv as an example, click on the download link, click Accept a License Agreement, and as you can see, Cisco IOS, which is our router image, is being downloaded. I'm also going to download IOSv Layer 2. So select that image, accept the license agreement, and the image is now downloaded. Now, as always, it makes sense to read the documentation. On the eveng website, documentation, how-tos, we're told how to upload images to eveng. There's a how-to page here of how to add Cisco IOS images, so VIRL images, to eveng. Now I want to point out something really important with regards to the Cisco images. The Cisco IOS V image is a vmdk image. Notice a vmdk in the name. That's important because a vmdk image is uploaded differently than a QCOW2 image. The IOSv Layer 2 image is a QCOW2 image, ends in QCOW2. So the process for uploading a QCOW2 image, once again, is going to be different to a vmdk image. ASAV, as an example, is a QCOW2 image. iOS XRV, QCOW2. CSR 1000V, QCOW2. So again, just take note of the image type because that changes the way that we upload the image to eveng. Versions in this guide are based on these images, which are different to the images that I've downloaded from Cisco's website. So we'll adjust the guide based on the file names that I've downloaded versus what they're showing here. Now here's an important thing to take note of. There's an eveng image name, and then there's the original image name. What's important to note here is VIOS hyphen or dash, and here we've got VIOS L2 dash, whereas the downloaded image has this underscore in it. That's also true for the image that I've downloaded. VIOS underscore L2 is the name used here. So we need to adjust the file name based on what's in this guide, and they've actually got a table where they explain the naming. There's a QEMU folder name, vendor, and then the QCOW2 image name. If I scroll down and I'll look for Cisco, we've got VIOS hyphen and vios L2. So this is the router image. This is the switch image from Cisco. Notice also here, we've got the QEMU image QCOW2 name. That becomes important when we go through this process. Again, I'm going to show you step by step how to do this. This is probably the hardest part about getting this set up. But if you follow these steps, it's not too difficult. We are actually told here that VIRL has two image formats, vmdk and QCOW2. QCOW2 is almost ready to be used. Process is very simple. I'm going to show you that in a moment. vmdk requires a few more steps. We have to do some conversions, but again, I'm going to show you all the steps in a moment. So in this document, we have steps for vmdk files. And then when I scroll down, we've got separate steps for QCOW2 images. So you need to follow the steps for the specific image that you've downloaded. Have you downloaded a vmdk image or have you downloaded a QCOW2 image? I'm going to start now with vios because vios is a vmdk file. So again here, vios, the routing image, is vmdk, whereas the IOSv layer 2 image is a QCOW2 file. All I'm going to do here, again, is follow the steps in this document, and you'll see that it'll work. I'm going to download WinSCP, which allows us to upload files to eveng. You could use FileZilla if you like, but I'd recommend that you use WinSCP on Windows rather than FileZilla. Some people have had problems with FileZilla, but it's really up to you actually. But I'd recommend this software. So I'm going to download the software. In this example, I'm using a Windows laptop, so WinSCP works here. If you're using a Mac, you may need to use FileZilla. Okay, so the software has downloaded. I'm going to install it and basically just stick with all the defaults. And click Finish. Now back in the documentation, we need to create a folder within eveng. So on the eveng server, I'm going to log in as root and eve. Now I'll zoom in here because this is quite difficult to read. But basically, if I go to opt ls, notice some files and folders exist there. What we're going to do is make a directory. Now doing it through the console of VMware is perhaps not the easiest way to do it. So what I'll do is simply download putty. That'll make things easier. So I'm just going to download 64-bit putty and then start that up. And I'm going to SSH to my server. This is the eveng server. So ifconfig, and I'll push that to more actually. Shows me that the IP address of the server is 192.168.1.200. So I'm going to SSH to the server, accept the key. I'm going to log in as root, and the password is Eve. So that's a lot easier to see what's going on. PWD shows me where I am. I'll go to opt again. ls-l shows me the files here. Back on the eveng website, we need to create this folder, and this name needs to match the router image. So what I'll do is copy this into Notepad. And the file name that I need to use is this file name. So this is the name of the file that's been downloaded from Cisco's website. This is vios. That's the name that we're going to use. So I'll copy that into putty and press enter. So ls-l, there's our unet lab, so cd unet lab, ls-l. We need to go to add-ons, ls-l, QEMU, cd QEMU, ls. There's the folder that we've just created. Now for all the Linux people, so that I don't get into trouble, you could obviously just do it this way. So from the home directory, as an example, just jump directly into that directory. But first step is we've created this folder, and now we need to upload the downloaded image into that folder using WinSCP. So I'm going to use Secure File Transfer Protocol, specify the server, specify my username, which is root, and password of Eve, and click Login. Accept the keys. I'm going to go to my downloads directory, select this file. What I need to do is go to this directory, so I'll copy that and then paste that here. So that's where I am now. I'll upload this image. So back in PuTTY, if I go to VIOS and I press tab there, ls, and I'll say ls-l, notice this file is being uploaded. So the file has been uploaded to eveng. You can see that here. So we've uploaded the image. Next step is from the Eve CLI, go to the newly created folder, and that's actually where I am. Now this is quite big, so I'll reduce the size slightly so that it's more readable. Okay, so there we are. So I'll clear the screen. So we're in this directory currently, and now we're told to rename the original image to have vmdk as an extension at the end. So ls shows us the file. Move allows us to move the file. I press tab there, so type vi, press tab, and then add vmdk at the end. So ls now shows us our file with the vmdk extension. Next step is to convert the vmdk to qcow. So we've got to use this command. So I'll copy the command. And to make it easier to see what I'm doing, I'm simply following these instructions. So here's the command that I've copied, and I'm going to simply do that with the file name. So they say change it to this at the end. That once again comes from their table. If I go back to their table, notice this is the name that we're using. So I'm going to paste that in, and that'll convert the image. ls shows us that there. Next step is to delete the raw MDK image file. So I suppose you could just move that to a different directory if you wanted to, but I'll remove that image per their instructions. So ls shows me that that image now exists in this folder. We then need to fix the permissions. So I'm going to copy this. I'll clear the screen just to make it easier. Paste that command in. That's been done. And there's our file once again. So what I did there was prepare and load vmdk images from VIRL. You could do something similar for qcow2 images. So as an example, notice this VIOS layer 2 image is a qcow2 image. So I'm going to copy the name so that I've got the name. We need to make this directory. So I'm going to paste that into Notepad without the qcow2 extension. So paste it in like this. The extension name, however, has to be VIOS layer 2. Once again, going back to their naming convention, this is the name of the folder. So I need to have VIOS layer 2 and then the name that I'm going to be using. So I'm going to copy that. In this example, I'm currently in my home directory, but I'm going to simply paste that command in per their instructions. And then I'm going to upload the image using WinSCP. So I have this directory for VIOS. I'm going to upload that image. to the VIOS directory. I'm going to go to that folder. So I'll copy this command, paste that into putty. ls shows me that I've got two directories here. I'll go to the VIOS layer 2 directory. There's the qcow2 file. What I need to do is change the name to this based on their table. Once again, that table is shown at the bottom of this page. So what I'll do here is clear the screen. So once again, that's the file. So mv for move, VIOS, press tab, and then I'll simply copy this to make sure I don't make any mistakes and paste that in. ls shows us the file. Here it is. And then I'm going to fix the permissions. So copy that and paste that in. That's now been done. So that's probably the hardest piece. I'm going to go back to the eveng GUI, log in as admin with password Eve, use the HTML5 console and click login. And what I'm going to do now is add a node to the topology. And hopefully we should see that these are blue, which they are, because I now have images available. So I'll select VIOS. In this example, I'll add 2 nodes to the topology. You can specify a whole bunch of options here. I'll leave everything at defaults and click save. So I've got 2 routers added to the topology now. And what I'll do is add another node. In this case, I'll add a switch. So VIOS layer 2, I'll just simply add 1 switch and click save. What I'll do is connect the router gigabit 00 to gigabit 01 on the switch and click save. And then I'll connect the switch to the second router. So gigabit 02 to 00 on the second router. Click save. So what I'll do is start up the first router. It's started. I'll click on the router to open up a console. You can see the router is booting up. I'll click on the switch, start it, click on it again. Console is opened. There's my switch booting up. I just moved the tabs around. So there's the router, there's the switch. I'll click on the second router, start it up, click on it again to get a console. I'll move that console across. These are fairly big devices. They take a while to boot up. That once again depends on how much RAM and CPU you've allocated to your server. I haven't allocated that much here. It's running on this laptop once again. But as you can see, the switch interfaces are coming up. The routers are still booting. Okay, so here's my first router. I'll say no to bypass the initial configuration dialog. Switch is booted up as well. I've got a prompt on the switch. Second router is still booting. On the first router, press return to get started. So I'll press enter a few times. While we're waiting for that, let's go back to the switch, type enable, type conft, interface VLAN 1, no shut this. I'll give it an IP address of 10.1.1, let's say 252, and no shut, interface VLAN 1, give it a host name of, let's say, switch 1. So ping, and notice these are just browser tabs, so I can detach them and simply have it available over here. So I could, as an example, have my different devices detached and running in different browsers. So there's router 1. Here's router 2. I'll put it here, put router 1 here. And here's my switch, put it in the middle. Now I've zoomed in quite a lot here, so we don't have a lot of space, but ping 10.1.1.252, switch can ping itself. On the router, give it a host name of router 1, show IP interface brief. Interfaces on the router are shut down. So I'll go into interface gigabit 00, no shut it, IP address 10.1.1.253 as an example. So show IP interface brief. We can see this interface has come up on the switch. Show IP interface brief. All the interfaces are up. Now in later releases of eveng, it'll have the ability to dynamically know if an interface is up or down. Here it's showing all the interfaces up even though there are no cables connected, but that changes in later releases. Now you may hear my fan going crazy on that laptop. It's because I'm doing recordings and I'm running multiple devices. Now I'm pinging an address that doesn't exist in my topology. So let's try that again. Ping 10.1.1.252. Now that is the switch. So I'm pinging the switch at the moment. Let's get the second router up and running. I'll bypass the startup config. The moral of the story is the more RAM and CPU you can allocate, the better. So this is struggling a little bit on this little laptop. But let's go back to the switch. Can the switch ping the first router? Yes, it can. Can it telnet to the router? Connection is refused. So show run pipe begin VTY. I need to do some changes on the VTY line, such as allowing traffic in. So line VTY04, login, password, Cisco, transport, input all, create and enable password of Cisco. And what I'll do is save the configurations. I went fairly quickly there, but this is basic CCNA knowledge. Notice I can now telnet to the router from the switch. If you're struggling with these basics, please have a look at my CCNA courses or other courses that explain the basics of device configuration. Here I'll configure router 2 with a hostname of R2, go onto the gigabit interface, so 00, no shut it, IP address 10.1.1.254 in this case. Hopefully that should be able to ping the first router now, so 253, which it can. And hopefully to be able to ping the switch, which it can. So I'll exit out of the router, back on the console of the switch. Here is my first router, save the configuration, switch, save the configuration, and second router, save the configuration. Let's do some CDP, show CDP neighbors. And this might be confusing, so I'll just maximize this. What you'll notice is the router is connected to gigabit 01. Router 2 is connected to gigabit 02 on the local switch. Show IP interface brief. No device is connected to gigabit 00. The two routers are connected to these two interfaces on the switch. And that's per the topology that I created. Now you could get these PCs to connect to the topology. So I'll delete that connection. In eveng Community Edition, you can't live connect devices. So I'd have to shut these devices down and then connect them. So I won't bother doing that here, just for the sake of time. But as always, on Cisco devices, make sure that you save your config and then you can shut down the topology. Okay, so that was quite a detailed video showing you how to get Cisco IOS V and IOS V Layer 2 VIRL images working in eveng. That's probably the hardest part about it, is uploading those images, getting the directories right. Once you're used to the process, it's not that difficult, but there you go. I've shown you how to do that for both IOS V and IOS V Layer 2. Okay, so hopefully that's helped you. If you found this video useful, please will you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please would you like this video, and please click on the bell to get notifications when I post a new video.